Hey guys, this is Shane with DnSAdventures, and today we're going to be showing you our new truck. So the first obvious question is, why did we go from a 2015 Ford to a 2012 Ford? This is one of the main reasons here. We went from a F250 to a F350, and we went from a 6.2 gas to a 6.7 Power Stroke. So yes, we are towing a Reflection 150 series by Grand Design. It's a lighter weight fifth wheel, some say half-ton towable, but for us living in our RV full-time, it can weigh a little bit more than your normal weekend outgoer or weekend warrior. As you can see here, we have a pretty light fifth wheel, dry weight of 7,600 pounds, and the max cargo should never exceed 1,829 pounds. The pin weight of the fifth wheel is about 1,300 pounds, so it doesn't put a whole lot of weight in the back of the truck, but I'll tell you why we still went from the 250 to the 350. I'm a firm believer that you always want more truck than you need, and the 250, well, she was getting a little close on payload numbers to what we wanted to do. We're gonna be buying more of these, probably not more of those, but we're gonna be buying more of these in order to put more water in the back of the truck. So if we go boondocking, we don't have to go to and from locations that often to refill our water supply. As you all know, water can add up very quick in weight, and if we're gonna be adding water to a rig, F250, well, payload numbers were getting really close if we wanted to throw more in the back of the truck. Although we transitioned from a 21-foot travel trailer to 30-foot fifth wheel, we basically brought everything from our 21-foot travel trailer to the fifth wheel, so there wasn't a whole lot of weight gain. We actually had room to spare in the fifth wheel. But over time, we have accumulated some items to put in the fifth wheel, such as the Berkey and just other appliances that we found helpful. With the last truck, we had about, I think, 2,500 pounds of payload capacity. It might have been a little bit more, might have been a little bit less. We actually didn't have the payload sticker for the exact number, but as you can see here, this has a payload of 3,500 pounds, almost 3,600 pounds. So we're adding about 1,000 pounds of weight capacity we could add on this F350 compared to the 250. So not only can we put a little bit more weight in the trailer, we can put some more weight in the back of this truck without getting anywhere close to those max weight limits. So that explains why we went from the 2 to the 3 here for the F250 to F350, but why did we go with a diesel? Short answer, low end torque. The diesel offers about 400 pound-feet more of torque than our gas engine. Did our gas engine get us over all of the mountain passes and everything we encountered? Yes. Did it struggle? Most definitely. Spoiler alert, we just towed this thing from Nevada all the way back to Indiana, and we didn't have any issues at all mountain passes. This thing was only in 5th gear going over the mountain passes with the weight we're hauling, and that was with a full water tank and some extra water in the back of this truck. This diesel engine is exactly what I was hoping it would be. The diesel literally made this trailer behind it seem like it was nothing going down the road. I mean, you still felt it, but nothing compared to the gas engine at all. We also plan on putting some solar on here eventually, which will also add more weight to our rig, along with some bulkier batteries, maybe not bulkier, but some more batteries than we have currently. So we do plan on adding more weight to our trailer, so we want something that's going to be able to handle all that weight with no issue whatsoever. So transitioning from the F250 to the F350, we did run into a couple hiccups. The first one was the fifth wheel hitch. On our last truck, we had the rail system going across, and obviously on our new truck, we have the puck system. My first thought was to get the puck to rail adapter, which I'll show you here in a second. But installing this fifth wheel adapter is not as easy as they show in the YouTube videos, let me tell you. So the problem I'm having here is that these things just will not close. I read online, if you have this problem, there were actually 2 washers underneath this lever here, and I already removed one to see if I could get some more clearance in order to turn these into the OEM puck system that we have here, but it is still not turning, and I'm not sure what to do. Luckily, there's actually a person that works at a nearby RV dealership, like literally having the free breakfast at our RV park today, so I'm hoping he can come over here and kind of tell me what I'm doing wrong. That way we can actually hook this in here, get this installed and actually be able to haul our fifth wheel, because right now we cannot tow at all. But once this is installed, we'll put our Patriot hitch right back on top. I had to lower the hitch down another 2 inches because the 350 already sits 2 inches taller than our 250 did. I think ride height's going to be kind of an issue here, so I'm really hoping I can get this level. Otherwise, I'm going to have to probably get rid of this hitch, get rid of this adapter, and then get an OEM hitch, which would be a pain in the butt. We'll see what we can do here. Well guys, the fifth wheel hitch is still a struggle. Turns out we're not actually able to use the Demco adapter like we wanted to, based on how the OEM hitch was or the OEM prep kit was installed on our truck. If you guys don't know, usually short bed F350s, F250s aren't manufactured with the OEM hitch on there. It's just long beds. So we're gonna have to work on something a little bit different in order to make this work. We may end up just having to buy a new hitch, OEM hitch, which will be a lot more expensive, just so we can put this behind us and actually leave in a week. Within normal OEM puck systems, there's just a see-through hole all the way through, but in ours, for some reason, there's a big bolt sticking up at the bottom. When the Demco hitch or the Demco adapter has an extra nut on the bottom that sits inside, and that nut is sitting against the top of that bolt, so we aren't able to fit the puck system in all the way. So yeah, good times. So since that didn't work, we're gonna have to come up with something new. I was really upset because we really wanted to keep our last hitch rather than having to get a whole new setup, but there was just no way around it. We could have tried to put in a new puck system in the truck or something to make the adapter work, but it seemed like the best solution was to try to get something that fit the truck that we already have. So we had the Patriot hitch, the BMW Patriot hitch, before we went with this companion fifth wheel hitch. So it's basically almost the same hitch. This one's a little bit heavier duty. The Patriot hitch was a 16K hitch, and this is a 20K hitch, but the jaw system's pretty much exactly the same. We had to go with this one because the Patriot hitch did not have a puck adapter version of it. The reason we went with the Patriot rather than some other brand is because we already had everything working with our Patriot hitch, and since it has the same head here, our wedge, our fifth wheel wedge, was able to slide right back in here without having to get a new wedge. I know that's not very expensive, but we knew the Patriot hitch worked very well for us, so we wanted to get something else from BMW that would do the exact same thing. And in case you're curious, this is the wedge I'm talking about right here. On the turning point hitch, in order for this thing to swivel at the base here rather than the normal pivot point up front on the fifth wheel, it uses this wedge to lock it into the fifth wheel, so then it moves. Basically, this part stays sturdy with the back end of the truck, and then it swivels back here instead. This wedge was ordered specifically for the Patriot hitch or the BMW hitches, and this works both for the companion and also the Patriot hitch. So that was all happening while we just bought the truck in Arizona. We're staying at our campground in Nevada for 2 weeks, and we're trying to get all these logistics done. So we're trying to rush order shipping and everything to get everything to us in time. And also, the coronavirus just started. So we got the hitch situation figured out. Hooray, we can actually tow and get to our next campground. So that was good. But then we ran into a different issue that I'll show you here. Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing something a little more unconventional. Rather than raising the truck like most people do to go off-roading, we're actually going to be lowering the rear end so we could tow a little bit more level down the road. So on F350 single rear wheel trucks, they have this 3.5 inch block here, but I'm actually going to be replacing that with what dualies have, which is a 2.5 inch block. So it's going to lower the rear end of the truck just a little bit. But yeah, right now the front's about 2 or 3 inches lower than the rear end, so can't really see it at this parking spot, but it kind of goes up at an angle here, so I'm trying to drop this down a little bit more. So in order to do this install, I had to do the research and order my own parts, so hopefully I got the right parts. Here are the 2 inch blocks, so they're significantly smaller than the other ones, but it has a swing, which is important because that's what my airbags actually sit on. I still want to be able to utilize those. They aren't super important because we have such a light fifth wheel that might not even need them, but I'm going to try to keep them on there if we can. Got 4 new U-bolts, 2 for each side, and also bought some new nuts. Whether it's true or not, I heard that if you are replacing these blocks on your truck, you're supposed to get new U-bolts and nuts because when they're torqued at the factory, they can stretch out or something. The threads can. I don't know how much that's true. I've heard people do it both ways. So but yeah, those are the parts. And now I'm gonna head over to a shop to get this done. Should be interesting. So I say it might be interesting because right now is the coronavirus pandemic throughout the United States. I don't really want to take the truck in right now to risk any exposure to anyone, but we have to tow 2,000 miles, and right now our rig's really not level at all with our truck. So trying to make it as safe as possible for us to get down the road. I'm even bringing my camping chair so I can just sit outside rather than in their waiting room while they work on the truck. So hopefully everything turns out okay. So as you can see, or can't see, the truck is a little bit lower. It's about 1.5 inches lower after we got those blocks switched out. It still has some space between the overload bar if we needed it. We don't need it right now. Plus we only have 5 psi in the airbags, so airbags aren't even doing anything right now to keep this thing level, because right now it's still tilting up a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it was before. So I think this is as level as we're gonna get unless we get some bigger tires and rims for the fifth wheel itself. That's really the only other thing I think we can do. The axle's already flipped on the trailer, so it's as high as it's gonna go that way. And another thing to mention, the fifth wheel hitch here is already on its lowest setting. We have more than 5 or 6 inches of clearance here. I actually ended up moving the hitch 2 inches forward just to kind of give that wedge a little bit more of a lowering there. The only bad thing is when we're backing up, the tailgate is pretty dang close to hitting the back of this trailer. So we'll have to watch it a little bit more and see how much clearance we have when we're turning. We should be fine though. So now we're gonna be heading towards, well, I think New Mexico is the goal today. So trying to do about 8 or 9 hour drives each day until we get all the way back to Indiana. That was definitely not a good thing, having our fifth wheel sit up in the front, putting more weight on the rear axles of the fifth wheel. So we had to make an adjustment somehow, and it seemed like the most logical way was to lower the truck since it was already sticking up way too high in the back to begin with. And yes, I realize when you're taking the truck down, that will probably impact if you want to get a heavier like toy hauler or something like that in the back. We do have airbags that could help level that out a little bit, but I think if we did end up getting a toy hauler, I kept the spacers and the U-bolts and everything that we had installed on here previously. We can slap those back on if we need to, but for the lighter fifth wheel that we have now, the 2-inch blocks really made the most sense. A couple other nice things that we weren't really even looking for, but they have turned out to be pretty nice. Having this running board along the side is really nice to be able to get in. So before we had to just lift Blaze up to throw him in the back end here. Not actually throw him, but you know what I mean. But now we can step up on here and lift him up a little bit easier to get him in the back of the truck because he's getting old and he doesn't jump up anymore. It also came with leather seats, which is nice. Definitely a lot more comfortable than those cloth seats we had beforehand. I do need to buy some all-weather mats for this because we do tend to get a little muddy going on all of our hikes. I do kind of like this middle console better than the folding seat that we had previously. Just adds a little bit more storage room with side pockets and more cup holders, and we can store a little bit more drinks in here to stay hydrated as we're going on longer trips. This is pretty much the exact same as what we had on our previous truck as far as the entertainment system. It did come with the tweeters on the side and the subwoofer in the back, which is a nice upgrade. Again, we would have been happy with an XLT, I think, but it is nice getting some of these little luxury items to go along with the truck as well. It doesn't have the built-in exhaust brake button. I think that was later year models of the 2011 to 2016s when they threw that on there. So we do not have that. We do have the locking rear differential on the 4x4, so that's an upgrade. You just pull this guy out, I think, in order to lock it. It does come with a few more features up here, like being able to see how many miles and your miles per gallon and stuff like that on here, which is handy. We'll see how much we actually use that in the future. Otherwise, it's pretty much identical to the size of our F250 as far as length, height, and everything goes. Might be a little bit taller with the F350, but driving it down the road, it seems to handle the same way. Obviously, a little bit more power with the diesel, which is nice. Sorry for the noise. My parents' neighbors running their generator for doing something over there in their property. So I might have timed this video at a bad time, but it's gonna rain later today, so I wanted to get this footage shot as soon as I can for this week's video. Well guys, this is why we bought our truck. I'm sure there's a lot of opinions out there on Ford versus Dodge versus Chevy. We're still not really we're not really a Ford family per se, but I've had really good luck with the Fords that we've had so far, so I think we'll be pretty happy with the Ford that we bought here. Plus it's a diesel, has about 90,000 miles. I would have preferred to get something with a little less mileage, but you all know these diesel engines can last for a really long time. It's in really good condition. I've already taken it to a couple places to get inspected. They say it's in top-notch condition. No leaks or anything. It was in the middle of the desert. It was in Lake Havasu for its entirety, like its entire life. So there's like no specks of rust on it whatsoever. So we got a pretty good deal, I think. I just hope this will last as long as possible so we can take this new truck throughout the country. I guess the next question is, what are we gonna name it? They seem to like it.